Welcome to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people,
where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge that magic has to offer.
A place to illuminate and demystify all things magical.
We are your magical co-hosts. I am Annalisa.
Reverend Raven here.
Adriana.
Tune in every Tuesday where we're dropping new episodes every week about our own personal magical stories.
Have a spanking good time.
And sprinkle some interviews in between.
There is so much magic here. Keep coming back every week. Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Hello. It's Adriana. Welcome back to Magical Aspirations. Of course, y'all know I'm joined by the beautiful, amazing Reverend Raven and Annalisa. Yeah, say hello.
Caw.
Good morning.
We are talking about water. Yeah.
Water.
So excited. Y'all don't even know. We had to go with the flow in order to actually record this episode. So we are very much in the element of water instead of trying to work against the current, because we all know how dumb that is. So here we are taking a lesson out of our own element. Love that. Thank you.
Love that. Well, and did y'all also notice that with the shift of us waiting for this, it's Cancer season?
It is.
It is Cancer season. I think that as vocal as water has been lately, we took, like Adriana said, we took the note, we went with the flow, and I think I'm really grateful for Cancer season to be here.
You have no idea. Like Gemini season was just like okay, no,
Pure
thank
ADHD overstimulation, like walking around. I've made this joke a couple times at work, but this is actually something that's really happened to me recently. Like the full ADD moment of like going to the coffee maker to like empty the coffee grounds into the trash, right? But then noticing that something on the way to the trash needs to be done. Cut to me 20 minutes later doing things one-handed because I'm still walking around with the coffee basket. Because I just haven't made it to like 8 feet to the trash can. Like, so that was Gemini season for me, guys.
Same. I'm like, oh my God, I could write stuff down. I can have it in my calendar and still fucking miss it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Fine.
Yep. Try moving during that Gemini season.
Where the hell are the sauce pots? I swear I moved them. I brought them with us. I know that they left the house. So that was a 20-minute project yesterday, trying to figure out where said sauce pots went. And I had put them in a bin that in my mind had other things in it, because at the old house the bin had things for preparing food to sell, not the food that, food things for our kitchen. So I put them in a different bin, and I looked in literally every single bin of ours that is in the garage currently to find the sauce pots that I found yesterday. But I found them. So
there it is.
That's right. That's right. Like any good Gemini, you might be flighty and a little crazy, but the job will. That has been a whole feeling. It really, really has. I am grateful now for the much more. And it felt like it was immediate. As soon as Cancer season hit, things started to feel a little more flowy. I started being a little more intentional about like the way I'm moving my body. And like, even now as I'm talking, I'm just like making waves with myself. Like, just like, okay, we're gonna go with the flow here.
Happy for it here.
Yeah, me too. We love Cancer season over here.
And again, with, I already brought up the fact that I am in the middle of a giant move. I am at the new place, and now it's time to start my own flow. Yeah. I get to use Cancer season as a chance to make my new flow.
What a beautiful season to do that, because Cancer is all that my shell must be perfect.
Yes, my home.
My home. And I don't know if you guys remember last year when we were talking about, during Cancer season, we were talking about the crab, and the takeaways were that home is you. And you create your home wherever you go. So it doesn't have to be tied to the specific place that you're in. And being in such a state of flux, right now, that I can take solace in home is in here,
Right. And then you also get the whole new rush of being able to like recreate and solidify routines like that. I find so much comfort in routine, and I find that that's when things is when I'm not good about sticking to my routines, or like I haven't like really, I'm like right in the beginning stages of one. Like what a good, like that gives me like the visual of like the skincare commercials of like splashing water on your face. Like, like it's a fresh new start,
Right. Exactly.
That's so true. Cancer season just feels like a warm, chilly blanket. I don't know how it's warm and chilly, but it is.
It's like the moment when you freshly get into like a not warm bed, like where the sheets are like cold and refreshing.
Oh, so good. Yes, that's it. That's it.
Oh, I love it. So water. We gotta talk about water current events. If anyone has been paying attention to anything on the news, obviously anything like that, there was the tragedy of the Titan submersible that happened this past week. Thoughts, ladies, with the element and magic of water?
I don't know if I should go first.
I think you should go first.
I feel like the more and more that I find out, the more videos that come out, I'm just like, y'all really did that.
Y'all really went and did that.
Y'all did it. Okay. Yep. I mean, like, water is not to be fucked with. No. Especially the bottom. Oh, please.
That is the thing that I keep like, I remember when the movie Titanic came out when we were much younger. I think I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. And I can remember like that was the time that we were really just starting to learn about the tragedy of the Titanic. Yeah. And I was enthralled. Like I could not read enough. There was this one encyclopedia that we had that had like information about the Titanic, and I would just kind of read it over and over and over and over again. And I find myself doing the same with this. Like what would make you want to go that far? Like I don't know. Like we're humans. We believe that we're the apex predators of the earth, right? The world, the land, all of that. And you're going to go, I know, right? What a joke. But for all the people out there, the amount of things that I have seen about people talking about the humans being apex predators, blah, blah, whatever. But then you're going to go so obviously put yourself at a disadvantage at the bottom of the fucking ocean.
Literally. I mean,
no,
absolutely not. In a tin can.
Tin can to such a, I feel like you can't use any word other than such a sacred place, like such a place of reverence. And like, we don't know what's fucking going on at the bottom of the ocean. Like what? Because doesn't it make you think of like, especially with such an ghostly active place that it probably is, like you've put yourself into like the bottom of a portal. What are you doing?
Yes. So what I was getting ready to say about my thoughts is that it reminds me of, the legends and stories of the Kraken.
Yeah.
Like you go to the bottom of the ocean, or like Davy Jones' Locker. There are all of these places of like myth, that you don't go there. You don't fuck with this place. If you do, something really bad is going to happen to you.
Right.
And how
Exactly.
many people have been just lost at sea and never even found again?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go check out the Bermuda Triangle. What? Girl,
Right. No, you're
sit
not.
down.
I mean, or you will from another dimension. I don't know. Ooh. I
What? Yeah.
feel like it
Mm-mm.
carries such a blaseness and like lack of respect for on like so many different levels, like
So
all
many.
of the people that died there, and then for the ocean and the water itself. Like I just
Yeah. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I
Bad
can't. I
vibes.
know
Bad
it's
vibes.
horrible and tragic. I just can't. Right, bad vibes. I can't stop reading about it. Like
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
I yeah, it just is I don't even know. Like it you imagine these people who are professionals, who are architects, who create these submarines
Mm,
and how much protection, how
mhm,
many checks that they go through just to make sure that their shit actually works.
mhm.
And then you think that you can create this thing without any of the things that relate to the actual submarine, and you think it's gonna work?
Right, right.
To have that level of confidence and ego is absolutely wild. Absolutely wild.
Absolutely wild, because that's exactly what I was about to say too. Like the amount of faith and like pride and ego one must have in
Yeah,
oneself to think that, I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
13,000 feet of water like that just
Oof.
ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh, it makes my tummy turn over just a little bit. Just a little
yeah.
bit, you know, that
Mhm.
I so
Mm-mm.
with full reverence for all of the people who perished in that, because it was obviously tragic and horrible, and my heart really goes out to the young 19-year-old who like barely had a chance to live his life, and I hope it was quick and I hope it was fast. But I'm curious, because we're magical people and we're talking about water magic. Um what do y'all think happened?
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm, mm.
Mm,
Something like a kraken.
I yeah, I agree. I agree.
Some
Or
kind of
because so
magical creature. And even
something
if
that
it's just,
said
something that lured them to that. So I don't know what
right.
that is. What does that actually look like? Is that a spirit? Is that a physical entity? Don't really know, but it reminds me of the story of like the sirens.
I was literally about to
That's
say the
the
mermaids.
vibe that I'm getting. Like something lured them to that spot
Oh, and
where they
aren't
perished.
you, when what were we? It had to be, I'm going back through my notes. I think in the Earth Magic episode before any of this happened, we like briefly touched on like underwater alien
Oh,
magic, like
yeah.
kind of all of
Uh-huh.
these things and
Yeah.
all of that. Isn't that just it's we were talking about the anglerfish, right? About
Yeah.
how like they're so much bigger than we realize. Like that's the visual kind of I'm getting, that they followed this light into the belly of the beast kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Like, no,
That's
thank you.
no, thank
Mm-mm.
you. Because that my thought is, have y'all also seen the other water current event, that everything that's going on with the orcas right now and the
Yeah.
yachts that they have been intentionally sinking?
The orca said, "Fuck y'all."
Right.
Orca said, fuck y'all, fuck y'all.
Mhm.
And so my husband's a commercial diver, so he's like in the water. That's his job all the time. And we were just kind of talking about the intelligence of the orca. Something that I did not know was that orcas are one of the only mammals other than humans to teach like generational knowledge. Like they get something that they learn makes their lives better, and then they teach it to their young for them to help make their lives better, and then they teach it to their young, and so on and so forth. And this is something that they're teaching the young
Mhm.
whales to do. Isn't it just
Mhm.
fascinating? It's just fascinating that specifically there's been some big sailboats, some big yachts that they've been targeting, and now this is a billionaire pet project that
Mhm. It's given, "Get off of my land!"
Right.
isn't it though?
Yeah. And if you think about, I'm not going to go in a blame game here, but think about all of the things that humans have done to the water as far as the ecosystem, of the orca's home.
Absolutely.
Pollution and deep sea fishing and things like that. The number of sea creatures that have perished due to the exact acts of humans.
Yep.
Right. Right. As well as
in
the
my,
exploitation. Like Free Willy?
Mhm.
Come on.
Yep. And in my opinion, if I was a whale, I'd be like, fuck humans too.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely.
Same. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And it's just like, have we not learned our lesson? We talk about history so much. Have we not learned? Stop. Please stop messing with this giant thing that we only know a certain percentage about. We only know so much.
Right.
Oh my God. And then I saw, oh God, we're just doing so many dumb things with the water. I saw this video of people doing, granted, we love the different, I'm just going to tell you, these people are burying their loved ones in caskets, dumping them in the ocean. Please.
What?
Stop.
Exactly. And they're
Stop.
making it a thing. Like, they're like, oh yeah, if you drill holes, you got to put sandbags, and you're putting a full casket into the ocean.
What?
Now listen. I am all for being turned into a coral reef and all of that stuff.
Same.
But like, could there be a more human thing to do than that?
Could there? Please. Like, at this point, just throw me in there. Like,
Right. What's the point of putting me in the fucking box? Just throw me in the ocean. Like, I guess at least then everybody has something to eat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, do something, or like cremate me and then spread my ashes. What? But you're putting a casket, more pollution into the ocean.
Wow.
Well, and so are these, now you're going to get me, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. Are these like embalmed bodies in caskets?
Exactly.
No.
Oh, no.
It took a minute on the uptake there, but oh my God, that's horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What's wrong with these stupid fucking people?
We're done.
This is so the big thing. I think this was also a reason that, Spirit kind of put the kibosh on us doing this last week, because I think it's such a word about reverence and respect, and like, do people not realize how much water we as humans, like, even if you don't give a shit about the ocean, which fuck you if you do or don't, like, we are made of water. Like, it guides and garners everything that we do in life. Like, if you don't drink enough water, you will die, period. End of story. Like, good. And we're gonna go throw embalmed bodies in the fucking ocean. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Really thinking there. So wild.
Because it's so important.
Yeah, it is. And it just, like, when we went to Gulf Shores, which I'm also so happy that we paused to record this video, we went there, and even like, the first day we went on the beach, it was very much, let me just say, hey, let me get this little rock, let me inch my way into the water, because I just felt like this is not the place where you just get right in. This isn't a pool. This is not a pool.
Right.
And I just am floored, and like, people were getting stung by jellyfish, and people were losing things, and it just made me think, like, you really do need to take your time if you're going to visit from here on out. Maybe that was before, but I feel like whatever we do recreationally around water for the next 10 years, we have to be very careful, because the water is not playing with us at all.
Well, and it's giving like consent vibes. Like the water is grateful for us to be there, but like, sorry to be vulgar, people, but if, like, before you talk about just like forcibly entering somebody, consent
Yeah.
needs to be given. And
Yeah.
like that's the kind of feeling that when reading about like the Titan sub, that like there was just no, it was all violation. Like it was all just like exploitation and
Mhm.
mm.
I'm like, all that money y'all had and didn't nobody get a reading? Please.
Well, but also all of that money you had, the thing I said to my husband was all of that money, $250,000 a person.
Mhm.
If was even like an iota of that given to like some sort of like
Mhm.
recovery effort, some sort of like
Mhm.
whatever. We talked about climate change earlier, save the ocean, save the whales. Like, why couldn't you have taken that money and done something better with it rather than just
Yes.
like your own? Because what I didn't realize was that one of the, I think like the billionaire, whoever
Mhm.
was in there, he was also on the Jeff Bezos almost
Mhm.
space rocket.
Mhm. Yep. Not no
And
more.
like you
Mhm.
don't get to, not that life isn't about joy, but like you don't get to have like what you consider that type of joy at
Yeah.
such a wasteful expense.
Yeah.
Well, and the expense of others, like you were saying,
Yeah.
the things that we have done to the planet, to the earth, to the ocean, but also there's starving people all over the world. There are people with
Absolutely.
so much need,
Mhm.
and just to like basically throw that money away,
Right.
I don't know, that doesn't sit well with me, like in any extent. Like
Yeah.
no matter
Yeah.
what you're wasting your resources doing, like that always makes me feel weird, gives me the
Yeah.
heebie-jeebies.
Just absolutely just disgusting. And
Yeah.
if that wasn't like the term "eat the rich" is one of my favorite things that we've come
Choo.
with as a
Yes.
human race. I'm just like, oh, that is so good. And that phrase just made so much more sense after saying that. It's
Mhm.
just like,
Mhm.
this is why. This is
Right.
exactly why.
The ocean said, I will happily oblige you.
I got you.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I
Yeah.
don't mean to talk so callously about the loss of 5 people's lives, but
Yeah.
this is only me and my opinion. All of those people, except for that poor 19-year-old, I think they got what they kind of deserved.
Yeah.
Like
Like
if you're really willing to fuck around and find out, well, they found out, didn't they?
yeah. And it was
Mm.
the thing that got me was there were so many different professionals that told them no. This is not the way
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah,
And you
this is
still
horribly
said,
safe.
nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go.
Right.
What?
Right.
Like, did you book a meeting for the day that you were supposed to get back? What?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, did you really think you were gonna come back? And like I know that there have been plenty of people that have been, whatever, been down there, done. Like there's been people
Yeah,
who have talked about how it can be done. And yes, it probably can
it
be
can.
done with the
Mhm.
proper amount of respect and reverence. Like I
Mhm.
didn't read the whole article, but I read just like a small blurb of like James Cameron talking about it because like he made the movie Titanic and
Mhm.
obviously was
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
invested in the preservation of the respect of it. And
Mhm.
that's just kind of, he said, like I said, I didn't read the whole thing, but just a little bit I read, he kind of said the same, like it's about the honoring of it
Mhm.
of it
Mhm.
all,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
people, the water, the events, the tragedy, like God. And one of the I also saw a similar comparison that they were talking about the similarity of the Ocean Gate person and the captain of the Titanic being warned
Mm.
multiple times that danger is ahead and just full steam ahead. And he went down. He's
Mm.
down there. He went down with the ship. Like,
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Mm.
hmm,
Mm.
And I think that this really goes to show, we all have very strong opinions about this and the way that we feel about it, how powerful water is.
Very,
yes.
very.
And that, this actually ended up being our last elemental episode. I'm sure we'll talk about spirit magic as well, but for
Mhm.
water to be last, I think that it shows that how much reverence that we all have for it. Like I'm
Yeah.
tearing up saying this because it's so important.
Mhm.
It is. And we've all like lived in the Gulf Coast
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
have witnessed the power that water holds, and
Mhm.
it's just like that gave me chills just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
was thinking about that exactly earlier, about how, like, people think of hurricane season, New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina specifically, that, like, I mean, I lived it. This was I was in the 10th or 11th grade.
yeah, that
I
makes
think I
sense.
had just
Yeah.
just started the 11th grade.
Mhm.
And it wasn't I mean, the wind damage was horrible, but it was the water after. Like, that's
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
the real tragedy came from.
Mhm.
On top of horrible corruption, but that's a different episode. But it really gives so much. Like, I'm really glad that we didn't save this episode, Spirit saved this episode for last, because
Mhm.
it's
Yes.
exactly the same
Yes.
thing, that, like, water holds just such an immense power. And, like, obviously we talk about us being fire, we talk about the sturdiness of earth, kind of the flightiness of air. I think water, even though we're not always surrounded by it, like, it easily continues to be the most powerful thing that we can connect with. Before we got on, Becky and I were talking about how it's been an unseasonably dry year. And
Mhm.
I also, for here, at
Mm.
least here in Louisiana, I'm sure the rest of the country and probably the rest of the world too. But isn't that such an interesting flip side of the coin, that, like, Mother Water has shown her power, obviously, but she can also, like, she's showing us how much we
She'll
need it.
take it away. Yeah.
Yes. So here in the Midwest, I just moved to Indiana and I am surrounded by cropland. I have a cornfield to the south of us, and there's a bean field to the north of us. And it has been so dry, all of the farmers are scared. And
Mhm.
yesterday, whenever we were listening to the radio, they were talking about the weather forecast, and they were going back and forth of whether or not we were going to get a significant amount of rain or not. And the forecaster used the term, I'm not sure that it's going to be the crop saving rain that the farmers need.
Mhm.
And that term, it just hit me like in my heart, like,
Yeah. Oh my God.
whoa, because
Mhm.
this is obviously the farmer's livelihood, but it's
Yeah.
also what is feeding the world.
Yeah.
Right, right. That's what I did not, very ignorantly of myself, I did not realize that until I met my husband, that he's from Iowa. So it's farmland all around, same thing. And, like, questioning him about, like, what all of the crops and all that were, he was like, these are the things that not necessarily feed you, but they feed the things that feed you. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh shit, I never really thought about that. And,
Mhm.
like, it causes such a chain of events when we don't show the respect and gratitude to water that we should. Like, dumbass
Mhm.
people jumping in bomb bodies in the fucking ocean.
Right. And it's just like, how we were talking about with earth magic with the plants, they need the water to survive.
Mhm.
The plants need the water and we need the water. The animals get the water through plants. And also, in animal husbandry, we learn that you have to make sure that they always have access to fresh water. They can't
Mhm.
just get the water that they need through eating the plants. They need to have
Right.
access to fresh water. And in the
Yep.
winter in places like this, that's a big deal because
It
it
is.
freezes. So you have to
Right.
have water heaters in the water trough so the animals can have enough water to drink because they will die without it.
Right.
It's so important. And I think that, that's something that, as we become more magically inclined and the more that we learn about, our own innate powers, there is so much power within the water. The water holds the secrets.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mhm.
water holds the power of
Mhm.
life.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. That makes me think about, like, people when it was a big trend for people to speak affirmations into their water and say what they
Mhm.
want, and it's like, well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because it holds memories. Water holds memories, and that's been scientifically proven.
Right.
And no wonder these places that are suffering or having significant water issues, it's not just the water, it's also the people have been suffering prior to this, and there has been major corruption, and the water is just ended up being the big first, I guess, trigger for
Right. The
people
thing
to
you
be in prison.
see,
Yeah, yeah. So
And
it's
whether
great.
you just mentioned drought, but earlier, Annalisa, you were mentioning, with hurricanes and things like that, with flooding as well.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
every major civilization has a flood story in their mythology.
Yep.
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 Like, that's pretty powerful.
Every single one. Mm-hmm.
Well, and especially like the people get that, Noah in the ark and all of that thing, whatever. But I can remember being in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. I grew up on the outskirts of the city, so I was about 30 minutes away from the real quote unquote damage. We certainly did not miss any damage during that time. But people really did it. They talked a lot about this, symbolic washing or cleansing of the city. And it has been very fascinating to watch that. I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. Anybody who has been in and around New Orleans since Hurricane Katrina has been able to watch its very sharp decline. You two, I think, are optimists. Y'all are examples of that. Y'all have come and gone. Y'all have come and gone. And a lot of the people who recognize and see the magic of the city, I don't think even they can deny it anymore. That there is still obviously this innate magic there because New Orleans is such a magical place. But there is it's a horror show down there right now. I don't live in New Orleans. I live even further away now from New Orleans than I did where I grew up. It's a fascinating thing to see that people think the Great Flood and then a good rise behind it. But
it's almost been the opposite. Yeah.
Correct. That's been my observation. And I would have to imagine y'all would say the same because y'all don't live here anymore.
Yeah, I would say so. I definitely tread because I wasn't from New Orleans. I'm not from New Orleans. And I was just an outsider at that point, but it really broke my heart just thinking about all the things that I learned about that city once I got there. And I didn't have to go look it up. I just had to listen. I just had to look around and ask one or two questions. And you're like, are you kidding? The city did y'all like this? And when I say the city, I mostly mean the people in power, the people who got the money. They did y'all like this?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like that is
and continue
so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. And I've heard stories of people who would talk about yeah, Hurricane Katrina happened, but they did all that. They put all those efforts to rebuild. I'm like, have you even been there to see it?
Right.
Have you seen the unfinished housing? Have you seen the school system? Have you seen the transportation? Are you be so for real? Be so for real.
There is actually I'm not sure if it is still currently on HBO or Max as they're calling it now, whatever. I'm going to try to remember to post this in the show notes. It's a documentary about
that one.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was made by he's a gentleman he lived in, I'm pretty sure, the lower Ninth Ward, one of the worst affected areas during Hurricane Katrina. He's a similar age to me. I just turned 34. I think he might be a little bit younger than me, but it's about how the forgotten children of Hurricane Katrina and how all of that is now rippling out because those people are adults. And the thing that they talk about the most was about to hear these children, now adults, recall the water coming into the city. It is this just really chilling thing to hear, but then to talk about how the parents were so traumatized by everything that happened, that now a lot of what's happening in the city is a direct reflection about just these forgotten, they were children and they're still acting like children because they were traumatized I was 16 when it happened. I remember it vividly. I don't know if I could, what would that be like for an 8-year-old, to literally watch a wall of water come and wash away everything and then not be able to talk about it because the adults can't even process it, let alone the children.
And to feel so forsaken by a place that you called home.
Yeah.
That that's a pain that only those people will understand. And people who've been in similar events, like that is heartbreaking. Absolutely soul crushing. That's what that is.
Yes.
Yeah. It's life changing. You become a different person after things like that, especially because for Hurricane Katrina, the recovery period is still going on. Like that was what, 20 years ago now?
Almost. Yeah.
Coming up on, if I was 16, in just a couple of years. That's right. It was 2005. You know, it's I would recommend everybody to watch that documentary because it really to bring it back to water, like I find it fascinating that we're talking about how water can have such an upheaval, but one of the biggest things that water teaches us is exactly what we were talking about when we started this episode, is that like you have to feel it move through you and move it out of you to be able to even heal from it.
Right.
And that's one of the most powerful lessons that water has taught me. Y'all heard me talk about it in one of the previous episodes. I can't remember which one, it might have been air. We were talking about music. Music moves through me like emotion and water do. And it's that in that documentary specifically, I'm pretty sure it's the gentleman who either made the documentary or one of the very close people. He's now a music teacher at Edna Karr. And he talks a lot about that, about how like teaching these children to, use music to be their superpower. And it's a fascinating correlation, between the destruction of water, but then, to transmute that into different.
Yeah. And what you just said, a key word just triggered something that I was thinking, transmuting. That water has the power to transmute, and it can transform us, when we are in these down times. This has gotten pretty emotional, and I've been quiet when you were mentioning Katrina in the city. But the personal transformation that I have gone through since coming to the city.
Absolutely.
There's no way I would be who I am if I wouldn't have come to New Orleans.
100%. 100%.
And I have experienced a lot of heartbreak with the city, and it's still very fresh for me because I just left. But making the decision to leave this city, that was very hard for me because I loved it so much.
I feel that. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, I know I'm from Tennessee. I know I was raised in Tennessee. But I truly feel like New Orleans was the place that raised me as an adult.
Yeah.
It gave me that push. It broke my heart a few times, but it also made me realize exactly what I was made of.
Right.
What I had. And loaned me a lot of good lessons that I will carry with me for the rest of my freaking life.
Right.
Yeah.
And people and souls that I will never forget.
Exactly.
All brought to you by City Under Sea Level. Right? But I do not find it surprising that we have been able to link the Water Magic episode to talk about New Orleans so much, because it is a water town. It's on the river, it's on the coast. Everything about Southern Louisiana is all water. I have gone through recently going into I've always been very into my Italian lineage, which is my paternal lineage, but my maternal lineage, and actually half of my paternal lineage is all Cajun French. And so my people come from the Bayou. Like that's where they immigrated to from. Part of that is from Nova Scotia, and I would have to go back through the rest of the lineage. But I have found that there are my papa's uncle. I think he was a pirogue maker. So we are Bayou people. And then another uncle, I think also on my paternal side, had a turtle farm. And I am turtle people.
Yes.
And it's cool, isn't it? And it was fascinating that when I learned that, I asked my mom about it, and she was like, no, I absolutely remember going to, so and so's turtle farm, and like that's just a fascinating bit of my own lineage that it's more water than I realized, like we are entrepreneurial people. I've always known that, but to be bayou entrepreneurial people,
That's a special little razzle dazzle right there.
it's a special little razzle dazzle.
I feel like, to me, that is like the true heart of resilience. Like, if you can make it in the bayou, you can make it anywhere,
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what water is. When you were earlier, you were naming what water is, and I was like, oh, resilience. Water is resilience because it will always find a way.
Right.
Yep.
Always.
Right.
Man.
I know, right? I was not expecting that to get that deep.
Thanks,
and
cancer
emotional.
season on the water.
Yeah, that's what that is.
I'm over here freaking balling.
Right. Leave it to the crab to make it nice and
Right.
emotional, right?
Get in touch with your emotions, child.
Right.
Oh my goodness. That is very,
Yes.
very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff.
It is.
What are y'all water magic? What does that make you? I feel like I've covered all of my notes for today. What else do you guys have? About
So I
water
was
magic?
talking about that it was storming this morning, and we haven't really talked, at least this time, about storm magic, but we have in the past. So I went ahead and after I moved a couple of things off the porch because it was literally raining sideways, I went out with a container and I'm collecting some of that rainwater from our first storm in our new home.
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but usually water has a way of telling me when I need to use it.
What have you for not this water, but I know you've collected other waters. What are some examples of stuff that you do with them if you're comfortable to share that?
Yeah, so it depends on when I collected it. So moon water on the full moon, depending on, when I collected it, it can help, with manifestation. So I can cleanse things with it, like my tools, my magical tools and things like that. I've got some hurricane water and I'm afraid to open that jar, honestly. So I've just been moving it, it's with me in a box here and I don't know what that's going to be needed for, but to me it feels like some chaos protection. When I need some big guns protection and kind of throwing a little chaotic field at it, I think that's when the hurricane water will need to come out.
Yeah. That checks out.
Yeah.
But again, it's like us talking about magic in the past. You have to always do things with reverence and know that there can obviously be consequences of your actions. So
yes,
I don't take that lightly.
I remember the first time I collected some hurricane water, I was like, what now? Where do I need to store this? Because this is a little powerful. And do you know, when I can't remember what I was doing, but I was just like cleaning out the room where I had it stored and remembered that I had it because I had hid it from myself. And I ended up breaking the glass that I had in it. I was like,
there you go.
That checks out. Cool.
Yeah. This hurricane water said, I will not be contained. Thank you very much. Like,
exactly.
I think that's obviously the best metaphor for a hurricane. Because like, how do you contain? How do you contain a hurricane?
Yep.
And like, there is this very special taste in the air that comes through when a hurricane is on its way in. And I can remember that, like, that is something I learned in childhood. Like, people just get different. Just get different. And my dad owns a grocery store, so we were able to really witness people firsthand, because what's the first thing you go to in hurricane prep or when a hurricane's coming? You go to the grocery store. And Becky, you talked about just like the chaos magic. That's exactly what it is. It is this like palpable
Mm-hmm.
in
Yep.
the air before.
Yep. I got cold
hap-
chills when you said that because I
Yeah.
remember being out like the night before the hurricane and just
Mm,
feeling like being out in the city and
Mhm.
feeling it in the air.
mhm,
Just the,
mhm.
you know, like that chaotic feeling. And I'm sure part of it is the panic of the people and things like
Mhm.
that. But part of it is the weather too, that it's
Yeah.
very just palpable. You can feel that it's coming.
Yeah.
And here, there are very specific signs that there's a big storm coming through, including the smell.
The
I think,
smell.
yeah,
Yes.
I think because it's so humid in New Orleans, you don't smell it as much as you do
Mhm.
here because it goes from not being humid to all of a sudden being humid.
Mhm.
So it's that change that you can smell it in the air that it's coming, you can feel it, and then all the leaves turn. Like they turn
Mhm.
upside down and everything.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's so true.
And
Yeah.
the insects and the birds, they are quiet.
The quiet. Oh my God.
Mhm.
The quiet is so it makes me itch. Even just thinking about
Yes.
it, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah,
I
like
need a
eerie almost.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Mhm.
Chat.
But you can,
Mm.
you know, you can feel. So you look at the weather forecast and, you know, it's about as accurate here as it is down there. So but you can go outside and you can feel if it's actually going to storm. I felt it
Mhm.
rolling in this morning because we had the windows. We slept with the windows open, and I could feel the storm rolling in this morning before it
Mhm.
actually started raining.
Yep. Yep. Sounds about right. Oh, the magic, the magic, the
Mhm.
magic.
No,
Yeah.
I love weather magic, storm magic. It's such a powerful sends little chilies down your spine. We had this it was early. I'll have to send you guys the video early last week. We had some pretty nasty weather fly through really late in the night, and it literally, I have never seen lightning like this in my entire life. It literally was constant lightning. Like the sky didn't, it never got dark. It was like 4 or 5 hours. It was a little unsettling. Like it
Yeah.
felt like a scene out of Stranger Things at first. It gave me these just, you know, the same feeling that I get about like hurricanes, about like this is just well out of your control. So just
Right.
buckle up, buttercup.
Buckle-
Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably the storms you were getting, we were also getting in Gulf Shores. I don't think they were as hard though.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember the lightning that first night that we got there. And when I tell you, it was absolute. Now, lightning already to me is just like, let me stay in my house. But this lightning, to see it happen on the water, oh
Yeah.
I was like, I just need to go to sleep. I just
Well, then, like,
need to go to sleep.
down.
To be extra chilling, that was, you would have been in Gulf Shores. That would have been like last Saturday, Sunday, Monday, kind of. You know, that was Sunday was the day that vessel left Canada.
Girl. Oh.
Ooh, talking about some Kraken like Cthulhu type shit. Like,
Well, well, that math definitely is mathing.
oh,
Hey, I'm mad at you for making that connection, but not mad at the same time.
You're welcome.
Oh, water magic.
It's very, yes, water magic is by far the most maybe fascinating magic, and that's coming from a very fire friendly lady. But like some about that water though, it just gets me.
Yeah,
Gets me.
I'm such a especially having so many water spirits connected to me, and it's like it's really insane. I connect my water magic to my psychic gifts for sure.
Yes.
For sure. If my emotions are doing what they do, it will show up in my psychic gifts. It is because of water that I was able to tap so deeply into these gifts. And it was also because of water that I could recognize when I was blocking my own self from continuing those gifts and like stopping them or like whatever the
Can
case
you
may be.
elaborate on that? I'm
I
fascinated
can.
by that.
I can. So for all of you, my gifts, I started paying attention to my gifts when I was in New Orleans. That fucking matters. So I remember when I got to the first time I ever been to New Orleans was back in like 2013-ish. And I could it was just wild. I could feel the chaos, but it was also like a home chaos. I don't know how to describe that, but that's the best I got. So when it came to me studying my psychic gifts, I thought that I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs at first. Y'all know this story. I was like, am I schizophrenic? And so that was the thing that I was focusing on because I was feeling so many emotions. And I am the type of person who is very avoidant. So to feel those things was so uncomfortable. And it was hyper emotional when I would get around other people. And that was new to me because I'm a pretty social person and had been for a very long time. So to experience this hyper emotionalness, was so disturbing, which is why I assumed that there was something mental going on with me. And when I started learning, I watched one YouTube video by a goddess who I still freaking love to this very day. And she was talking about how your emotions sometimes are your biggest psychic intuition gifts because they will tell you so much that your mind, other people will not tell you. So sometimes when you walk into a building, she was the first person who told me, or through the YouTube video, she was the first person to say, when you walk into a building and all of a sudden you get angry, pay attention to that. It may not be you. It's probably what's going on in that building or with those people, or you might even be predicting something that's going to happen that makes people angry. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And so seeing that video made me go back and check myself and pay attention, deeper attention to myself and what happens during my emotions and understanding my own baseline for emotions and knowing that I am like water. I have ebbs and flows, but that does not negate what I'm feeling. And it does not always mean that it's mine as well. And so that was the foundation of understanding my own psychic gifts. But I got to a point where I was taking these classes, I'm doing this mediumship work, but I got to a point where I was stopping myself from diving deeper into those gifts because I was afraid of what I wanted to feel or what I needed to feel. And that was because I didn't want to feel the emotions of the people and the spirits that I was tapping into because I knew that shit was heavy. And I didn't want it to trigger my own things as well.
Well, it's definitely not work for the faint of heart.
No, it is not. No, it is not. But that is such a word, God, that is such a word about water, because the minute I tell people what my husband does for a living, their first response is, oh, fuck no. Like almost everyone. And especially like the more and more details that I find out about it. Hi, Miss Brenda, if you're listening, close your ears. Like, he'll talk about these times of, okay, so like he has to wear like the big helmet and like all of this stuff. One of the things that I did not realize is that thing is not 100% watertight, which like seems super counterintuitive because he routinely, like this past job he was on, routinely diving between like 120 and 150 feet, right? So a lot of the work that he has to do, he refers to himself as like a spaceman sometimes because the gravity is very different. He ends up doing a lot of the things on his back, upside down, whatever he's doing. And the bottom part of his big helmet, allows water to flow in. Like obviously, like his nose and his mouth, is sealed off. But like his helmet will fill up with water. And like he tells me this, and I'm like, that doesn't bother you. Like, and he's like, no, because you just like, he's so fucking blasé about it. He's like, no, you just like tilt your head back up and like all the water flows out because like it's water and that's what it does. Like the amount of trust that he has under the water is positively mind-blowing to me. And like it's giving those vibes, like as you're talking about like the trust that you had to have that like you weren't going crazy. Like, you know, like you literally, that's what you did. You put your fucking diving helmet on, you're swimming upside down and you're filling up with water and you're just like, okay.
Very much that. Very much that. I love that visual so much because that checks out. That checks out. Especially when you have like these wild dreams. When I used to go sleep at people's houses, just, you know, like visiting and stuff, and then having those dreams. I'm like, what the fuck y'all got going on in this damn house?
Right.
But yeah.
One of my friends, and it's funny that you say that because she came on Wednesday night and stayed a couple nights with us. And the room that she's sleeping in, there's pictures of the family farm on the wall. And there's also an old family picture that would be my dad as a little boy, his mom and dad, and his 3 sisters, and a really old, mean-looking grandma. And she said that when she woke up, she was having dreams that she was in the house and like my family had came in and they were like, "What are you doing in here? Why are you here? Like, why are you in here?"
Not the ancestors said, "Who are you? And why
Right, excuse me."
you know?
I was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "Was it because I showed you the pictures before, you know, you went to bed?" And she was like, "Probably." So I was like, that was definitely her picking up on like the spirits of the land in the house.
Yeah. They had to come check the place out. Like, did you even say hello when you walked in the door?
Right.
Right. You better show some reverence real quick.
That is so funny. Oh my god.
And so that we're coming up on about an hour that we'll be finishing here. That's making me think of what like water offerings. Like what in just these last 2-3 minutes, what can we do? How do you I guess I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but like as far as like reverence and respect of water, that's been such a big theme. What can we do?
I will say, now this is just me, but recently I've been a lot more respectful these days. And like I used to follow people that say just like give whatever you want to water. But the water crisis that we are in as a global people, please do not give the water, especially creeks and rivers and ponds. Please do not give the water things that are unnatural to their habitat. And that's just being a responsible person, but that's also being a responsible like water respecter, guide, whatever. Because you will fuck some shit up. Those spirits will fuck you up.
Right.
And the last time I did that, the last time I gave something that was unnatural, I did the whole like give fruit to the water. I did that. And I fell on my ass. Literally fell on my ass right there in front of the freaking creek, bust my whole shit. Ass was hurting, head was hurting, back was hurting, and that was the final note to me to be like, never mind, not gonna do that again. Not gonna do that. Not yeah.
Yeah. So
what have you changed it up to?
I was gonna say I do flower petals of things that are from there.
Yeah,
I will like picking water, picking wildflowers.
Yep, I'm 100% there with you on that. I'll also do like I'll look for a rock that's around there that I think is just like really pretty or fun or things like that. Talking and singing is also a very beautiful offering. Water spirits love singing and talking. Hello, sirens. Hello, whales. dolphins.
right.
Yeah. And water and sound are like super compatible. So those things are also offerings. And I'll even just like, I don't know how to describe it, but just like putting my hands and just being like, here you go, I love you. It's like my way of giving the water a hug.
What about other water? Like, is that still?
I've never done that before.
Is it? Well, I was thinking about like Becky with you, like your hurricane water. Like, I don't know.
See, I wouldn't want to put hurricane water like into a creek. I feel like it would bring
because
chaos
that would
to
bring
the
a whole new
area.
chaos. That's what I was kind of thinking. Like, is it not like? But what if it's like filtered water? Or I don't. I don't know.
I don't know. My intuition says no.
Yeah.
Agreed, and I think that's why I asked.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm sure there's lots of little baby witches out there who think, oh, water for water, like totally, but maybe
not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think with any kind of offering, just think through it and be respectful and ask. That's a good thing. You can always ask.
Yeah.
That is such a good thing. Please ask. Absolutely. I think water is one of the most responsive. And like, if you are really there wherever you are at the water and pay attention to the environment and the surroundings, you'll know if it's a yes and you'll know if it's a no.
Yeah.
You'll know if it's a fuck no.
Because they'll dump you on your ass, literally.
Oh, that's so true. Oh, that's so true. Oh my God. Oh, yeah. So just ask the water. Water is very responsive. It's so talkative. So talkative.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that just about consent. Consent is important for water too. All of your, but truthfully, all of your magical workings, consent is important no matter what, right? In life, period. Just ask first.
Yes. Consent is key.
Consent is key. Consent is key. Is that a wrap?
I think so.
I love it. I love it.
What a beautiful job. Thank you, water.
Thank you, water.
Thank you. Thank you, beautiful ladies. This has been so fulfilling and rich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Juicy.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And beautiful people, I hope that you have enjoyed this and you are feeling all ooey gooey and watery after this conversation. And with that, have a beautiful freaking day.
Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Annalisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. Thank you again, and as always, stay true to your magic.